be more than right now. Step in, lose yourself like right now.
Family. Hey, so as you all know, this is a music reaction channel, but from time to time we check movies, film, games, documentaries. So today we're gonna be checking the documentary Winter on Fire. Now shout out to the people who have requested me to review this documentary, and I've been getting requests since last year, and I didn't know how to approach the documentary because I didn't want to do like a standard reaction, just watch and then comment. I wanted to understand like the side and even get like opinions from the opposing side and then bring that all together. So that's what we're gonna do in today's video. It's gonna be more of a commentary video than a reaction, so you're gonna get to hear more of my opinions and then general people's opinions, and then we're gonna discuss that as well. And then yeah, I think that's about it. I don't even know how to go about this video because I want it to be informative and as entertaining as possible. And disclaimer, it's gonna be representing like it's gonna have graphic representations. I'm not a politician, so, and then I don't know like 80% of the history, so I'm gonna be referring to like sources, and some sources obviously they might not be credible, so that's where I might need your help because I'm not like a documentary channel. But hey, we're gonna try to be as authentic and as informative as possible. So please do subscribe to the channel, and then if you're gonna have suggestions for this type of videos, please do tell me, because this is my first video and I'm even nervous, by the way. And obviously even the subject at hand makes me nervous, how people are gonna criticize and all that. But then I hope you're gonna enjoy the video, and it took me some time to like compile this video, so I just hope it's worth it. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join the family. Feel free to recommend or request any type of video that you would like to see me do. It could be a reaction to music, it could be analysis to a film, anything and anything, as long as it's going to be a fun idea or an educational, informative type of idea, I'm down to do it. Family. Hey. Now, because the film has been or the documentary has been filmed some years ago, so there are people who definitely watched the film and then they left reviews. So what I did is that I took two positive reviews and then two negative reviews, just to get like different views, because I'm trying to get like different sides of the story, while at least I provide my own opinions towards. So before we watch the documentary, let's check the reviews. Obviously there are spoilers, so spoiler alert, spoiler alert. But yeah, so this one gave it a 4/10. They say it's very nice film but very one-sided. Don't hate me for this. First of all, I'm not from the area and English isn't my native language. I watched it yesterday and I thought it was really very one-sided. Yes, of course, we saw 20,000 people protest, but what about the millions of people that were in favor of the president and don't want to be a part of the EU? What the documentary actually shows is how a coup was planned and executed. And yes, they show mostly police violence on protesters, but all the policemen that were injured and or killed just doing their duty of protecting a democratically chosen government. Very one-sided and incomplete. It would be perfect if only they showed more of the other side. Fun fact is most people in the EU are shouting they want to get out of the terrible oppressing tyrant of a union, and those people are dying to get in. So this one sees like some hypocrisy among the people, so that's why he gave it like a 4/10, and then he believes or she believes that it's one-sided. What do you think about that? before we even continue with the video, comment below, tell me what you think about the review. And then the next review is a 10/10. It says graphic bias but necessary documentary. Extremely difficult to watch, especially coming from my perspective. I am Scottish and support independence and oppose the Brexit. Seeing this made me fear for my country. If we do achieve the goal, I also can't understand how anyone could support the cowardly president who used the Becky as a tool to quell the mob. My sweetie for ages been on about Ukraine, and this finally made me understand Russia has no right to what is doing, and the people in Maidan were not Nazis nor thugs. They were everyday people like you or me. I recommend this to watch, but be warned, it is graphic and it does not spare the details of what happened. So this is a positive review, and then you see the review, like the person who wrote it, like they are going over a lot of emotions, kind of like grateful that such a thing was exposed out there in a documentary format, but also fearful of why of his or her country if they could adopt the same mentality. There's always that fear, obviously. And then this one gave it a 3/10. He says history can be defined after the actual events. Then he starts, or she starts, so we all want cultures and political regimes that are repressive to be removed, especially these days, by the people, not a stealth bombing run. What this docu made me realize most of all is that most of us lead such hectic, confused lives that just as we think 3 lines of Facebook sums things up, or 75 characters on Twitter is a suitable digest version of virus events. The same is true for catching the news headlines once a day after work. What I realized most of people required to really grasp the complexities and nuances of the Ukraine revolution could not be anywhere near accurately presented in news coverage on TV, nor in any 1-hour documentary. Whatever side or angle you may have tried to represent, geopolitics is now what Peter Dale Scott called deep politics. There are now so many layers to events that end up on our one-dimensional TV screens that one single person can no longer truly get some sort of objective take on events at the time. As with 9/11 was in Iraq, chaos after subtle invention by the West in Libya, etc. The truth either comes years later or continues to get further played. So Winter on Fire for me may have shown the true nature of a movement growing and asking for change, but it wasn't that it failed to report the other side, of which is Russia. It simply could not do so in the allotted time. Complex histories, funding from US and Euro Foundation, the rehash of the newer Russia framed as the old Gulag Soviets, Stalin was a psycho to many, including Ukrainians, meant that in the desire to show the latest color revolution, it must some really underhead tactics by factions of the Ukrainian side, which you will only have seen if you had hours to spend watching several news mediums in real time at the time, which few of us could manage. So he or she's complaining mostly about like the time. It's like you cannot put every perspective or every aspect into a 1-hour documentary. You need history, and this politics are complex, so you need like a lot of dimensions to bring it down. And this, I cannot go against the story. It makes sense. So tell me what you think about it as well. And then lastly, it's a 9/10 rating. So an excellent, gritty documentary. Much respect to the Ukrainian people. This documentary shows the lengths that people will go to fight for their freedom and to fight oppression. The editing was very well done, and the graphics as the people marched towards the parliament building was class 2. The only thing I think they were potentially missing would be an interview with one or more ex-Beko soldiers. Powerful, moving, inspiring. Courage to the Ukrainian people in their ongoing fight for freedom. So those are the reviews according to IMDb. I chose that because I trust it and Rotten Tomatoes, even though sometimes Rotten Tomatoes you can find some weird reviews of films and documentaries. So do you agree with the reviews? Do you disagree with the reviews? Comment down below. Now, just a quick timeline. I think it's gonna help us into analyzing the situation, and the documentary I think is gonna help me as well. So I decided to start the timeline right from the year of independence and then until the Maidan crisis, right? So around 1991, Ukraine declares independence following attempted coup in Moscow, and then around 90s, about 250,000 Crimean Tatars and their descendants returned to Crimea following collapse of Soviet Union. And then in 1994, presidential elections, Lionel Kuchma succeeds Lionel Kravchuk, conducts policy of balancing overtures to the West and alliance with Russia. Now, in around 1996, new democratic constitution adopted and hryvnia currency introduced, right? And then till around 2002, where in May, government announces decisions to launch formal bid to join NATO. And then from then, we go straight to 2004, where we find the Orange Revolution. So in 2004 November, opposition leader Viktor Yushchenko launches mass protest campaign over rigged elections that gave victory to pro-Russian candidate Viktor Yanukovych. Supreme Court later annuls poll result. And then in December 2005, so almost a year later, Viktor Yushchenko becomes president after winning December elections. Rerun relations with Russia sour, leading to frequent disputes over gas supplies and pipeline transit fees. And then later we go to 2008 October, where global financial crisis leads to decline in demand for steel, causing price of one of the country's main exports to collapse. The value of Ukrainian currency falls sharply and investors pull out. So from 2008 to 2010, that's where we get a Yanukovych comeback. And February 2010, Viktor Yanukovych is declared winner of second round of presidential election. Now, one thing that I want us to remember is that with this timeline and then with the information that we have, we don't know what force was behind that, like what led the people to vote for him, for example, or which party was he on. For now, I do not have the information, but then I know that it's out there and I know that you can access. So it's something that maybe you could look over, and then if you really are keen about that. As I said, that I try to not be political about this documentary, but then it's important for us to kind of like know their standpoints, right? And then October 2011, a court jails former Yulia Tymoshenko for abuse of power over a gas deal with Russia in 2009. And then now we go to where the documentary starts, Maidan Revolution. So that was 2013 November. Tens of thousands of protesters take to the streets to protest at the government's sudden decision to abandon plans to sign an association agreement with the EU, blaming Russian pressure. And then in 2014 February, security forces kill at least 77 protesters in Lviv. President Yanukovych flees to Russia. Opposition takes over. Then 2014 March, Russian forces annex Crimea, prompting biggest East-West showdown since Cold War. US and European Union impose ever harsher sanctions on Russia. And then 2014 April, pro-Russian armed groups seize parts of Donetsk and Luhansk regions on Russia border. Government launches military operation in response. And then 2014 May, leading businessman Petro Poroshenko wins presidential election on Western on pro-Western platform. And then 2014 July, pro-Russian forces shoot down Malaysian airliner over Eastern Ukraine conflict zone, killing all 298 people on board. Then 2014 September, NATO confirms Russian troops and heavy military equipment entering eastern Ukraine. And then 2014 October, so the same year, parliamentary elections produce convincing majority for pro-Western parties. And then from 2014 we go to 2015 February, and that's like 3 months later, I think, we find the European Union Association. So that was Germany and France broker a new Dawn-based deal at talks in Belarus, resulting in a tenuous ceasefire. Then 2016, economy returns to fragile growth after 2 years of turmoil. And then 2017 July, Ukrainians Association agreement with the European Union is ratified by all signatories and comes into force on 1 September. Then 2018 May, let's just jump to 2018 October, the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople agrees to allow Ukraine to set up its own Orthodox Church independent of Russian ecclesiastical supervision. Then from there we go to President Zelensky, where he takes office. So it was 2019 April July, where television comedian Volodymyr Zelensky wins presidential election runoff in a landslide victory over incumbent Petro Poroshenko. He takes office in May, and his Servant of the People Party wins early parliamentary elections in July. And then 29 October, Ukraine becomes embroiled US impeachment row over allegations of President Trump attempting to put pressure on the country over investigating possible Democrat president rival Joe Biden. And then in 2020 March, President Zelensky appoints former businessman Denis Shmyhal Prime Minister with a mandate to stimulate industrial revival and improve tax recipients. And remember, I didn't read the whole timeline, but already there's too much information in this timeline, and there's too much people who are included, like external people, internal people, external parties, internal parties, same with the unions. So there's a lot thing that's going on here, and this is above me and my research abilities. So yeah, but now I think that as we have the timeline jotted down, we can start watching the documentary.
Така українська революція. Весела.
Він стріляє туди! Стій! Стій! Він стріляє в прохід! Не виходь! Не виходь в прохід!
Я знаю, я мертвого тащив. Що ти мені будеш розказувати?
And this was the part that not it exactly, but then what's happening is what was kind of like trending on social media. And before these trends, I wasn't aware really of what's really happening that side. And then when you get the trends, first things first, like with me, I really didn't like take it that serious, of which makes me feel guilty now, but then it was then, right? So when you follow up and then you find different views, and then you see that, oh, now this is a big deal, like this is not a movie, this is not just a trend, this thing is happening. And then you got these people who are against the ones supporting Ukraine. Then it's a whole lot of war, especially with Twitter. You find like people are taking each other, and then others are calling others Democrats, and then you're just confused like what's happening.
Я йшов по крові, так що ти мене хочеш здивувати зараз чимось? Ти думав, що це так просто. Прийдемо на Майдан, постоїмо просто і все, і поїдемо назад. Я так не хотів, я хотів зразу йти вперед.
For centuries, Ukraine has existed at the axis between East and West. In 1991, Ukraine declares its independence from the Soviet Union. In 2004, pro-Russian candidate Viktor Yanukovych wins the presidential vote. The election was found to be rigged. As a result, the people take to the streets in a peaceful protest called the Orange Revolution. They are successful, and the election results are overturned. During the years following, Ukraine struggles to find economic stability. 2010, Yanukovych returns. This time, the election is confirmed, and he regains full control.
I want to know what made things change from that year when the votes were rigged until when he returned and then everything is proved. Because here with the documentary, they make it sound like as much as the votes were real, but it's not something that the nation agreed upon. Or was it the thing of majority rules? Maybe. Because I feel like this issue is two-sided, and if you're not there or if you're watching from outside, there's information that you cannot get, or you know, like how they sugarcoat the truth and all that, so you get confused if you're watching from outside.
While promising EU membership to the public, Yanukovych secretly negotiates a competing alignment with Russia. In fall 2013, a key milestone approaches as Yanukovych appears ready to sign an association with the EU. Yet, as the people look to the west, their leader turns to the east, and the future of the nation hangs in the balance.
Альтернативи європейської інтеграції не існує.
Им что-то пообещали, как бы сказали, вроде бы как бы работали в этом направлении, а потом взяли так и...
21 числа прозвучало заявление Азарова о том, что они не подписывают соглашение.
Рішення призупинити підготовку до підписання угоди про асоціацію і зони вільної торгівлі з Європейським Союзом важке. Послухайте, орать вы всегда можете, мы это знаем прекрасно.
Это очень огромный шаг назад. Это шаг даже не просто поколение назад, это к прабабушкам, прадедушкам Советский Союз.
Это всколыхнуло людей. Не потому, что плохо жить. Мы забрали шанс не у нас, у детей забрали.
Мені написав мій товариш у Фейсбук. Бачив, Мустафа кинув клич. Пишу, бачив. Він каже, треба поїхати подивитись.
Я сидела на работе допоздна.
Also, this is what motivated the whole Maidan crisis. And you see some sense of unity here, because I don't think like... okay, fine, as a nation, it's hard for people to be on the same page unless if there's one thing that's probing them to. So here you see like that, okay, individuals took it amongst themselves to stand against this deal which they think is really unfair for the nation. And another thing is, most of the times when these riots when these riots are orchestrated, you find that there's a specific leader behind them, and then when you ask the people who are in the riot, like, why are you here? What are you fighting for? You find that even themselves don't know what they're fighting for. Even the police forces or the soldiers that are deported to that area, when you ask them, or when it's time to take accountability, you ask them, why were you there? Why were you shooting these people? Why were you fighting against the community? You find that the police just said, we followed the orders, we followed the orders. And then you ask the people, they'll be like, our leader said this, we are doing it. And then you find that, so here, that's one thing that stands out, that, okay, it seems as though there was no one of influence behind this Maidan revolution, I'd say.
Девочки начали петь гимн.
straight off an action movie or something like that. And then when you think that it's reality, that's where you feel like, yo, what the F is going on here? And speaking of the documentary, as much as it's one-sided, right? I feel like if they focused on different perspectives, it was gonna be confusing. So I'm not against it being one-sided. But one thing that stands out, it's the POV type of nature that they approach it, because you see like the cameraman or the camera crew are within there. It's not like the other documentaries of which like they take footage from different journalists, and then when they compile it together, it needs like a lot of narration to make sense. This doesn't need a lot of narration to make sense. Like it's cinematic in a way. If you would make somebody just watch the clips without you explaining that like this is reality, they would just enjoy it for fun, understand, until you tell them that look, this is not staged, this is reality. And then that's where they would feel like the sympathy, the empathy, and the sadness, and they would be disheartened. So I feel like the thought and the approach to the documentary, especially like with the view, it makes you feel like you are there. You don't feel like you're just watching what's happening in real time. It makes you feel like you really are there, like the screams of the people, and then it's just too much. It's too much. And this is one of the other reasons why I was avoiding reviewing this documentary, because it's just too much to process. And this is the type of documentary that you cannot just watch once and be like, okay, I watched the documentary, now I understand what's going on. You kind of need like to watch it 2 to 3 times to get like details, because with each and every shot there are hidden details, so you cannot just grasp it in just one go.
Щоб вона нічого не могла робити. Все, доста, вставайте! Київ, вставай! Київ, вставай!
Всі відчули, що якщо сьогодні побили студентів, завтра поб'ють кожного з нас. І тому, очевидно, це спричинило оцей марш мільйонів.
Эти митинги по миллиону человек – это надежда на то, что нас должны же услышать.
Там были с колясками, пенсионеры были, с палочками, инвалиды. Это было просто потрясающе. Мы поняли, что мы что-то можем.
Now on day 11, you still see that the people are still united. Everyone is out. Everyone is out. And now this begs the question, like, so the people who are Ukrainians, but then they are not part of this, I want to know what's their reason of not being part of this and what's stopping them. And are those reasons logical from a political standpoint and a historical standpoint, or are just reasons of greed and being self-centered and just oblivious of things? I want to know that. So, yeah.
Там держали это огромное столпотворение Беркут.
Мы просто брались за руки и стояли. Что будет, мы не знали. Просто надеялись на что-то лучшее, но нельзя было какой-то провокации творить.
And another important factor here that we should consider is that so far from what I'm seeing, it's Ukrainians against Ukrainians, because these police forces are from Ukraine, so they're just there doing their job. So you cannot say that it's their call. If you are working and then they say do this, you gotta do it, even if it's against your will. So imagine like the stress, the trauma that they are going through. It's like, okay, now they're making us fight, And I feel like it's what most of the politicians and people in power have mastered. They know how to make your own people go against you, while at least behind the scenes they are negotiating like worse deals. And then when the fighting is over, that's where you realize like, whoa, we were played. These people were up to something, and then they made us go against each other. They make us hate each other, and then they were plotting this. And by the time that the truth gets exposed, it's too late for anybody to do anything.
Вполне адекватным приемом, который можно противопоставить зверям в камуфляжной форме, которые были против нас.
Начались тренировки, как правильно себя вести, как защищать своего ближайшего друга, как контролировать свои эмоции, чтобы не стать провокатором и вести все, пытаться максимально все в рамках закона.
And that's the hardest thing, acting legal in tough situations, because they're like you going in with your emotions, and to think of the betrayal that you felt, and then you feel like your people are just let down, you watching your own country immediately collapse. It's hard to stay within the right hand of the law. It's really hard.
Вже 9 чоловіче, потрібен конкретний, чіткий план дій.
Вышли на сцену политики 19-го и снова ничего толкового не сказали. И люди были настолько разочарованы их действиями, что их решили вообще послать всех.
Я один такий, як ви. Всі ви знаєте, що таке автомайдан. І всі ви знаєте, що ми робимо для своєї країни. Ми стоїмо рядом з вами. Мирним шляхом станемо навколо Верховної Ради. І ми будемо там стояти, я вам обіцяю, будемо стояти скільки потрібно. Хто погоджується, підніміть руку. Дякую. Звертаюсь зараз до кожного депутата України. Ви народні обранці. Кожен з них має прийти в сесійну залу і відмінити цей ганебний закон, який завтра нас буде саджати в тюрми. За що? За те, що ми висловлюємо свою громадянську позицію.
And one other thing that the documentary does that stands out, it's how it zooms you into the map and then takes you into the live action, and then reminds you of what probed that live situation. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Props to the directors, the editors. They did a very good job on this. They take you on almost every important detail that you need to understand the documentary. So it's a thing of beauty.
Мы полчаса уговаривали их отойти, потому что мы хотим мирным протестом подойти к Верховной Раде. Все. Эти люди, которые кричали нам мат в ответ.
Я звертаюся до працівників міліції. Ви давали присягу на вірність українському народові, а не банді Януковича. Розгородіть дорогу. Дайте мирним громадянам.
Пока мы на правом фланге пытались мирно договориться с ВЛшниками, просто для того, чтобы отвести людей, дать нам пройти. А на левом фланге началась суматоха, провокации, по большому счету.
Кличко решил умиротворять, потом кто-то там Яценюк кричал. Их уже никто не слышал, они уже не были авторитетами. То есть люди разочаровались в них, как в людях, которые могут что-то взять на себя, какую-то серьезную ответственность за что-то.
На Грушевского. Все, у людей лопнуло терпение. Они, в какой стране мира вообще вытерпели бы такие законы? Проще в тюрьму было садиться сразу.
this is so disturbing. This is so disturbing. And you think, like, these evil people who are against this, they're out there chilling at the office, even though they are terrified. And it makes me wonder, like, when they see this on the news, or when they get, like, live reports about what's happening, like, what goes through their mind? What goes through their mind? I think it's one other reason that made that former president to flee the country, because he knew that there's no area that would welcome him in Ukraine, and people would just eat him alive if he made a step out there. So he just, to him, it was just like a conscious and then instinct reaction for him to flee the country. Like, what option did he have? Because he realized that he has just done a huge mess, a terrible mistake. And that's where you ask yourself, does he regret? Of which I highly doubt that he regrets, because it seems as though it was his plan to begin with, even though it was in his original plan. But then I think he was promised something bigger and better, which made him see, even though to me it's not clear on what could they have promised him. Maybe they promised him an endless reign. We will never know, or we will know. I don't know.
По ребятам прицельно стреляли по красным крестам.
Я показую на кілька. Червоний хрест, я його показую. Він мене, а йому стрельнули в ногу.
Тогда появились первые раненые с попаданием в глаза.
That's mad. He showed them, like, the cross, that I'm a doctor, I mean no harm. They don't trust nobody at this point. At this point, they're coming for anything and everything that moves without the police uniform.
Людей ворують, ви нормальні?
Там людей вкрали. Викличте, будь ласка, міліцію.
Милицию вызывайте, украли людей, похитили.
Я думала, что я ребят уже не увижу живыми. С учетом, сколько уже на тот момент было и пропавших, без вести, и искалеченных людей, то есть это было реально страшно.
Пришел только что с переговоров с президентом Януковичем. После сегодняшнего дня прекращается силовое действие против людей со стороны Беркута. И задержанные отпускаются.
Right in front of him, they tell him straight, we don't believe you would do that.
У Пасті головна подія цієї ночі – напади на активістів автомайдану. Ті вирішали патрулювати вночі як вулиці столиці, так і лікарні, куди привозять травмованих. Але на їх автівки стали нападати, а самих людей затримали.
And just a quick question, because with media, you know, they don't mind spreading lies, right? So was the media coverage for this accurate, or was it one-sided? How was it? Because you know, most of the times I don't believe the things that I hear from the news, because I know that there's a lot of influence that goes behind that, and it's very hard to find genuine, authentic news reporting.
По военной тактике я понимал, что мы просто в ловушке.
Наші брати і сестри, на яких ви зіймаєте свою руку.
Когда вот случалась уже эта ситуация на Майдане, за этими людьми, которые там стояли, были люди, которые на коленях молились на розарии.
Коктейли начали кидать оттуда.
нижче, з висоти. Там почали скидати на нас.
Ну, наши тоже не растерялись, поняли, ну раз уже горит, надо подбрасывать, короче, шины и тогда их травить этим дымом. Какие-то высшие силы были на нашей стороне, и дым пошел как раз травить их там на верхушке.
Нам треба зупиняти живим вогнем. Це певний наш щит.
At this stage, there's no holding back. There's no holding back. And it's like months have passed and this thing has been ongoing. And here nobody has taken accountability. It's like they just let the things be.
У меня погиб здесь друг мой, Витя Шмеленко. Он с носилками побежал вверх по Институтской для того, чтобы выносить человека. И вот и видно, как он наклоняется к этому раненому для того, чтобы положить, и его убивают.
Yo, and here it seems as though like the shots and these shots are just, what's their motive now? Because they start shooting like the people who seem to be in no danger. And even at the first, when they shot the doctor, there was no reason for that. And now I'm doubting if it's a direct order. I feel like they're just doing anything and everything.
От, тобто, і я пам'ятаю, тато сказав фразу, каже, ну все, нам кінець, каже. Того, кого не добили, доб'ють, того, кого не посадили, посадять вже точно.
Відбулись маленькі перемоги. Маленькі перемоги, дякуючи кожному з вас.
Я просто-напросто зрозумів, що так не може бути. Що ті хлопці нам не простять, якщо ми підемо на умови домовленостей політиків.
Хлопці, слава Україні! Я вам скажу так, що ми прості люди, кажемо до наших політиків, які стоять за моєю спиною. Ніякий Янукович, ніякий цілий рік не буде президентом. Завтра до 10-ї години він має піти геть. Мого побратима з Яворівщини застрілили, в нього лишилася дружина і маленька дитина. А наші лідери жмуть з цієї вбивці руки. Ганьба! Я вам кажу, від своєї сотні, де є мій батько, який приїхав сюди. Якщо ви завтра до 10-ї години не виступите з заявою, щоб Янукович йшов у відставку, ми йдемо на штурм зі зброєю. Я вам клянусь.
Now this is the turning point right here.
Я прошу, шановні колеги, проголосувати. Верховна Рада України, виражаючи суверенну волю українського народу, постановляє: перше, встановити, що президент України Віктор Янукович в неконституційний спосіб самоусунувся від здійснення конституційних повноважень та є таким, що не виконує свої обов'язки. Друге, призначити позачергові вибори президента України на 25 травня 2014 року. І третє, ця постанова набуває чинності з моменту її прийняття.
Голосів. Рішення прийнято!
23 года имели свою независимость на бумаге. Но сейчас мы даем столько жертв за нее, что она должна быть реальной.
Майдан – это была маленькая территория большой храбрости.
Ради того, чтобы наши дети жили в нормальной стране, люди шли на смерть, даже не имея детей. Да, пришел народ, и этот народ сказал: мы есть власть.
Мусульмане, иудеи, христиане разных конфессий, буддисты, люди просто неверующие, да, с таким уважением относились друг к другу, что можно сказать, что родилось новое сообщество.
Героям слава!
У нас есть эта родина, нам 20 лет. Мы родились уже в независимой Украине. Поэтому мы точно знаем, где границы нашего государства. Мы точно знаем, что такое Украина, что такое патриотизм.
Удивительно.
And we've made it to the end, and I feel like the documentary captured every detail that we needed to know from the perspective of the people. And most of the time, things like this or events like this in history get to focus mainly on the leader's side, and you don't get the voice of the people. You find like interviews from the community or diaries, but then no one is shown holding accountability for those statements. So here it's like the people, and they want to be heard, they want to be seen, they are brave, they are not letting go of anything. And the unison as well, as they mentioned on the documentary, that you're going to find like people of different faiths and the people who don't belong to any faith getting together, like forming this new society, even though it was in a gruesome manner, but it was a statement that needs to be made. So I might have not understood a lot of things here, but one thing that I understood is the spirit and defiance of the people. So yeah, if there's something that you would like for me to analyze or to watch or react to, please do tell me, and we are gonna check it out. And this video took me long because I've never done like this style of reaction or commentary before, but I do not regret anything, and I feel like I've learned, and continuously so I do learn, because even with the songs, even though they're short format, I do learn a lot. But with this, I felt like it hit more emotion than the songs, because on the songs, like, there's a beat, it's kind of like cheerful, even though the song might have a strong message, but then it's easy to digest. So with the documentary, it's very hard to do so, because everything is uncensored, nothing is sugar-coated, like you get it as raw. But I'm grateful for the support that you guys give me, and please do subscribe to the channel. Let's grow as a family. And if there's a documentary that you would like for us to analyze or react to, please drop the comments below. And then if there's something that you need to clarify, or something, a fact that I might have misconstrued before, please feel free to do so. We're here to learn, and I'm glad that I got this opportunity and support. So family, hey.